from the Europe, UK. Europe. Hello. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, please look here, everyone. Ready?
Step.
Okay, please look here. Ready? 1, 2.
I'm a Russian eater.
Hi. How are you doing? Good?
Okay, please look here. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Mexico.
Mexico.
Canada.
Canada.
Mexico.
Okay, please look here.
Yes, we look at the camera. No, don't put this, because it goes in front of people. This is not
The camera.
Look at your body.
1, 2, 3.
Ah, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Everyone look here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Since when I give some talks or here, quite a number of sort of people usually come. So then I thought those tourists used to spend a few days here. I thought maybe one sort of meeting. And then the main purpose of this meeting is this question and answer. So among the audience who have some questions, and please ask me the question. And then those points which I do not know, then without hesitation I say, I don't know. That is simple answer. So at the beginning, I usually share some of my main, also the interest or main concern. Firstly, we are part of humanity, part of 7 billion human beings. Now, today's reality, each individual of 7 billion, their future very much related with the big human community, that is 7 billion human beings. In ancient time, we Tibetan, inside Tibet, behind these Himalayan mountains, we something like self-support. So no concern, although we always pray entire sentient being, but realistically, we don't care what happened outside. I think you Indian also, you see, not much take care about the outside of India. And the European, you also, you see, not much pay attention about what happened in Asia or Africa and Latin America. Now that thinking outdated. We must think entire 7 billion human beings' future. Because you see everything, interdependence. And on top of that, global warming. You see no differences of national boundary or religious boundary. Entire humanity now facing these global, certain sort of nature disaster due to global warming. In the modern global economy, no, there is no boundary. So now, I feel a lot of problem which we are facing is with too much emphasis, the importance of one's own nation, one's own religious group. Through that way, I think a lot of problem, which essentially our own creation. Every day, television or news, a lot of killing in the name of even religion and name of different nationality. So even you see, recently, I think a few days ago in Kasa, the Bangladesh, Kasa, the Muslim community there, they had temporary sort of the arrangement. I saw one elephant come. Then everybody shouting. That becomes news. Human being killing another human being. Now, not much news. It's something quite normal. I think we human beings, basic human nature, now some scientists say basic human nature is more compassionate, they say. And there are sufficient reasons that even our daily life, everybody, the day, you see, we received some sort of affection from other with smile. That day you feel much calm. The morning you met someone who really is showing you angry face. That day, or you experience one sort of good fight with one human being. That whole day you may not feel calm. So here, peaceful mind, calm mind, very much related with our inner mental attitude. Too much sort of self-centered attitude. Me. That automatically creates distrust, other. If you develop, we are same human being, same human brothers, sisters, then you feel there's a much sort of much ease, like that. I usually, as a practitioner of, you see, altruism, karuna, ma-karuna, so where I go, I always feel I'm meeting another human being, human brother. I never sort of feel I'm something different. I never feel that. When I was young, when I visit Peking, and as well as I visit in Delhi, more formality. At that time, sometimes I become very nervous. Nowadays, that's completely gone. Whenever I meet people, I feel we are same. We are same human brothers, sisters. So that, me personally also, is really very, very helpful to keep peace of mind. So therefore, compassion is, I think, very, very useful for our own person. Some people have the feeling practice of compassion is good for other, oneself not necessarily some benefit. That's totally wrong. Practice compassion, karuna, first benefit go to the practitioner himself or herself. Then automatically the other people also, you see, they then appreciate or feel some positive thing. So I often used to ask audience, anyone among the audience who prefer angry face? I don't think. You know, for example, same person, Dalai Lama, same face, would look like this. You don't feel comfortable, isn't it? If I shout something, smile. My own mental state, calm, peace. Then you also, you see, enjoy that, isn't it? If you, majority of you prefer angry face, then I'm trying to practice anger. Then future, more angry face. Like that. Even dogs, cats also appreciate if we show them sincere sorrow, so the feeling towards them. They also appreciate in their eye something different. In spite of you feeding them, but showing negative face, some dogs can make distinction. The sincere affection to them or not much sort of affection. So therefore, the affection or love, I think every sort of social animal appreciate that. And then more important is a lot of trouble we are facing. Like here, this moment in Yemen, in some African country, and now some Palestinians now, really, you see, facing some problem. These are our own creation. So now, many problems which we are facing is actually with too much emphasis on a secondary level of differences. My country, my religion, that creates problem. So therefore, logically, if you go deeper level, we are same human being. The different religion, different nationality, these are secondary. Basically, we are same human being. So, number one, my commitment is try to promote sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. So, you also, dear my brothers, sisters here, you also part of the humanity. So think and how to contribute regarding promotion of sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Although we, practitioner, we pray all sentient beings, including sentient beings in other galaxies, but that's not practical, just wishful thinking and pray. Within our own world, this small planet, the limitless animals, birds, we cannot communicate with them. Difficult. Only minimize, disturb them, and if possible, help them. So finally, only 7 billion human beings, we have a human language. We can communicate. The same human brain, same human sort of mentality or emotion. So we can share some of our experience to other human brothers, sisters. So that's my number one commitment. So my brothers, sisters here, you see, please keep this idea, wherever you live, share with your friend. Or we are same human being. Now time comes, we have to think about global humanity. So this is number one. Number two, I'm Buddhist and live in this country. Now nearly 60 years. So I really admire 1,000-year-old India's tradition, religious harmony. Wonderful. India, I think only this country have all major religious sort of believer live together. Occasionally some problem. That I think we can easily blame to some politicians. But basically, I think this country, over 3,000 years, religious harmony there. Now today, this country, you see, all major religious traditions live together. Beside the homegrown different religious tradition, Sangha philosophy, and from Sangha tradition, there are many different sort of Hindu traditions, then Jain tradition, then Buddhist tradition, then later Sikhism. These are India's homegrown different religious tradition. Beside that, ancient time, Zoroastrian from Parsi come here. Now mainly settled in Bombay. Less than 100,000. Very small population. Among the millions of Hindus, Christians, Muslims, the less than 100,000, the Parsi, you see, live happily, no fear. So, India's 1,000-year-old tradition of religious harmony is now relevant to tell other people, religious harmony is very possible. In spite of different teacher, at different place, different sort of time, but all carry same message of love. So then, that is the basis of harmony. Some say there is God, creator. Some say no God. Like one part of Sankhyaism, you see, and Jainism and Buddhism, you see, their life, no beginning. Whether you call Atma or self, no beginning. So, no beginning, no end, till, of course, when we reach moksha. Otherwise, you see, life after life go like that. So, these three, mainly these three Indian tradition, Sangha philosophy, Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, no creator, but rather self-creation. So therefore, before Buddha come in this country, already the concept of vipassana and shamatha. Vipassana and shamatha is the way to train our mind, the way to transform our mind, our emotion. So these are homegrown religion. Then Judeo-Christian tradition and Islam, mainly these are, you see, their basic sort of faith is creator. That also very nice. See, those people, all those sort of people who believe Creator, they all, describe Creator, God, infinite love. We all children of that kind of a Father. So that also very powerful. Think seriously. 7 billion human beings created by one God. That is infinite love. So if you believe that, if you follow that sort of philosophy, that teaching seriously, sincerely, then the 7 billion human beings come from one Father, one God. God, infinite love. So we are children of such Father. Isn't it? That philosophical view also is very, very helpful, very good. So basically on this planet, theistic religion, non-theistic religion, all carry same message of love, forgiveness, tolerance, contentment. Many Christian monks, nuns, in their monastery, their life very simple. They truly practice simplicity. Sometimes I feel we Tibetan Buddhist monk more luxurious. Like that. So they practice contentment and simplicity. And with that, self-discipline. Wonderful. So in the philosophical field, as I mentioned earlier, some say creator, some say no creator. But that is method. The aim is to increase practice of love, practice of compassion. So, all major world tradition, simply different method, but same goal. And then this country prove different religious tradition can live together. So therefore, my second commitment is try to promote religious harmony. So, you, as a sort of people who trust me, I think most probably, trust me, then please you also think, try to promote this sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, then religious harmony. So that I usually telling people, I myself fully committed to promote these things. So now some questions. Question.
Up here. Come up here, please, those who have questions. Okay. Stand in line.
Yes.
Louder, please.
My question is, what is the relation between innocence and compassion?
Louder.
Close.
Next to your mouth.
What is the relation between compassion and innocence about inner human nature?
Innocence, the compassion. Innocence, the compassion,
biologically, all social animals, you see, have some form of sort of affection, particularly between mother and their children. Look, dogs, or cats, and also those birds. You know, after birth, firstly, as far as birth is concerned, bird is concerned, after birth, I think a few days, the mothers take care, warming that egg. Then chicken come, feeding. So these do not come from religion, but biologically, that's necessary. In order to survive, their children, taking care is very relevant. So we human beings also, after birth, the next, at least I think, 2-3 years, mother's sort of take care, mother's care is very essential. Without that, then after birth, within few days, will die. So this is nothing to do with religion, but biologically, we equip that. Now that as a basis, as a seed, then use human intelligence, the further strengthening loving kindness. So that the first level of loving kindness is very much mixed with attachment. Then use intelligence. Anger very harmful to oneself and others. Compassionate sort of feeling is very useful, as I mentioned earlier. Then you develop conviction. Practice of compassion is really very useful. Then because of the opposite of compassion is anger. Then analyze what useful, what value, anger. Everybody say constant anger, actually eating our immune system. And then anger really not only destroy immediately peace of mind, but also gradually, you see, create a lot of problem, even among your own family. Like that. So, analyze what is the usefulness about anger. Sometimes we feel when you face some sort of danger or someone exploit to you, then anger come, different yourself. But if we think more seriously, you can defend, you can protect yourself without anger. Thinking, reasoning, with compassionate mind, you can take protection yourself. That's much realistic, much effective. So suppose your own protection, shouting, anger. You see, sometimes more problems start, isn't it? Without anger, with compassionate feeling, use our wisdom, our intelligence, short-term interest, long-term interest, and holistic way, then you will find more long-lasting, effective protection yourself. Much better. So therefore, anger, no use. Then jealousy, no use. Fear, analyze. If there is sufficient reason, one mad dog come. I don't fear. That fear is necessary. Either you run away or use something defend yourself. That's something realistic. But many fear is sort of sometimes too much expectation, unrealistic expectation. Then some sort of hindrance, whether truly hindrance or imagination, imagine, then develop fear. So this fear is actually not realistic like that. So fear, anger, very much related with because of the self-centered attitude, me. There, compassion, we. That's very, very helpful to reduce. Like that. So, the biological sort of factor, that compassion is very much biased and mixed with attachment. Now use intelligence and analyze. Compassion come from analytical meditation. That's unbiased, very sound. So that compassion can extend your enemy like that. So therefore, compassion, innocent,
so compassion doesn't have that kind of innocence because you're thinking through with reason.
Thank you. Next question.
I should like Your Holiness.
Louder, please.
Thank you very much for this opportunity of being in your presence and receiving your teachings.
Yes.
My question relates about the Bodhisattva path. When we simple practitioners are walking the path of bringing benefits to other beings, we may face internal and external obstacles. So I would like to ask Your Holiness for some advice for us not giving up on bringing benefit and continue on practicing compassion.
As I mentioned earlier, see some the obstacle. Like as I mentioned earlier, you see someone who really, because of the trying to harm you, if something seriously, then you have to analyze how to overcome that. Such sort of situation, just think compassion won't solve that problem. Clear? Otherwise, I think many problems which mainly is your own mental projection. One my friend, one American scientist, now his age over 100 years. Because Aaron Beck, his name, Aaron Beck. You see, he, not a religious person, certainly, he sort of, his profession is helping people whose mind much disturbed by anger. So over a few decades, he deals such people. Then his conclusion is, when people develop anger, they object, mainly people, is that person feel anger appears very negative. But actually, he told me 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. This is exactly Nagarjuna, the ancient Indian scholar of Nalanda, Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, you see, they clearly mentioned. Now I cannot say, they loved the Dajashida Timungsum, number tall joint.
So Master Nagarjuna says that attachment, anger, and ignorance are based on our mental constructs, or conceptual constructs.
Tukda midu chijilo, Tibetan joint yours. Because Chimi Chig Namdog Trotani. Tatia, the changing with the Rigi, or the Geltislot. Tukda midu chijilo, number tall joint yours.
And so, based on this mental construct that we have, we actually project things as attractive or non-attractive. So, which is a misconception.
Oh. So that, now here, quantum physics is quite helpful. Enemy there. Oh. When you feel some anger, enemy, 100% negative. When anger reduces, oh, that person, not so bad. After sort of a few weeks, oh, that person could become best friend. So when anger, yeah, it appears something very negative, but actually entirely based on mental projection. He says 90% of that negativeness is a mental projection. Now some quantum physicists, they also now feel similar sort of understanding that when things not exist as appears objectively exist, that concept, the quantum physics now, only the observer's creation, not objectively exist. You see, that concept, those scientists who believe that wholeheartedly, their emotion, too much sort of good, too much bad, that kind of emotion is much less, because exaggeration, the basis of exaggeration become weaker. So that's the so therefore one of my Indian friend, I think you may heard,
Raja
Ramana, nuclear physicist. Now he no longer. I think maybe 15, 20 years ago, one occasion we met in Delhi. Then he told me, quantum physics in the West, something new concept. In this country, over 2,000 years, that concept already there. And he mentioned to me some Nagarjuna's sort of
quotations.
Quotation. He mentioned like that. So I think ancient Indian psychology is realize the negative emotion very much based on mental exaggeration. Like that. So therefore, those negative emotion actually much based on mental projection. So think more holistic, and one suffering, you feel very unhappy. Then think, oh, this kind of suffering, I think millions of people on this planet have also facing that kind of problem. Think that you feel little kasota.
Calm. Calm.
Oh, I say little comfort. Otherwise, oh, now I got this problem. I cannot bear too much suffering. Then anger, these come. That mind, very narrow-minded, very focusing. And on top of that, exaggeration. Clear? So think these lines. Then you see your mind use intelligence. Then you see your mind more holistic. Then your serious problem become much smaller. Okay.
Next question, please.
Then you see training of mind, not easy. It takes many years. I myself, when I study this topic about bodhicitta, altruism, I feel that's sometimes even I feel impractical. Then think. Now last 40, 50 years, mainly Shantadeva's book, and then combination with understanding about shunyata, nothing independently exists. So over now, 60 years, almost I think 60 years, and then serious practice about bodhicitta over 40 years. Then gradually transform my emotion. So our mind can train. Take time. In our modern life, see, everything automatic machine. You should not think our mind, mind also like that, easily you see, change, transform. No. Take time. Mental change, emotional change. But basically, there is sufficient reason to bring confidence. All negative emotion, such as extreme self-centered attitude, or all these negative emotion, very much combined with ignorance. Ignorance, no sufficient reason. All positive emotion not based ignorance or not combined with ignorance. So those positive emotion, through reasoning, we can increase. The negative emotion just come, but if we think more seriously, it becomes weaker. The positive emotion, think, stronger. Okay. Now your question, next question. Correct? Yes?
Namo Guru Avalokiteshwarya.
Yes?
Close, louder, please.
Namo Guru Avalokiteshwarya.
Yes.
Your Holiness, before I ask my question, I would like to inform you there's a retreat in Tushita being led by Richard Myers for Nyungne. I request you to please accept their prayers and dedications made to you. My question is regarding doubt, especially as you just mentioned, that it's important to generate confidence. And today in our modern life, and also with the advent of science, we use a lot of critical reasoning. When we read a lot of texts, also some of the texts mentioned, taught in the great monasteries, and also Shantideva's text, when we get to the 9th chapter, a lot of the arguments that are used, when we really analyze, sometimes seem very simple. That if you delve deeper, they can be counter-questioned in some ways, and because of that, doubt arises. And in today's modern life, we have to choose how we can be most beneficial to sentient beings. Sometimes I think whether I should practice more or whether I should do some kind of social work or try to spend my life in earning money in order to benefit sentient beings. So, and because all these questions also come because of doubt. If there was more doubt, less doubt, then I guess probably we would all practice like Milarepa, because the self-cherishing mind would practice. The self-cherishing mind would want to practice because it knows that what awaits it after death. But we don't see that. And right now, even though some advances are being made and Your Holiness is really trying with the Mind Life conference and other things to interact with sciences, but as practitioners, there is doubt in the mind. Otherwise, one would totally renounce this life and fully practice. And so therefore, please expound the Dharma on how to remove doubt from the mind.
social jizo shadi shue lega chigo yuna and kaso tinde togwe ri sanda kandes chigo.
Of course, I'm a student of Nalendra Master, and of course, Buddhist monk. So my mind may be a little biased. So please, you check me. I consider Buddha one ancient Indian scientist because Buddha stated, "Oh, my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment." So from that aspect, I consider Buddha was scientific thinking. And then, quite clear, like Nagarjuna, they rejected some of Buddha's own word. If you accept this Buddha's word, it goes against reason. Therefore, we should take importance of reason rather than faith. So therefore, you see, we have Sarvasade already now over 30 years, now nearly 40 years, discuss with modern scientists. At the beginning, when I expressed my desire, discuss with the scientists, then some Buddhists, mainly from West, when I asked that, they told me, "Oh, be careful. Science is killer of religion." Then I reflect this Buddha's own word. Reason, experiment is more important than faith. So then I start discussion with modern scientists, mainly 4 fields: cosmology, then the essence of cosmology, already mentioned in Buddhist text. According to Buddhist text, they say the very, very subtle particle that we usually call space particle. So that itself is always changing, but continuation of that particle, no beginning. So the very basis of Big Bang theory come from that, and whole galaxies come, then gradually dissolve into the space particle. Then again, some different place from space particle, it can come. Space particle, then energy, then heat, then liquid, then solid. Go like that. So no beginning, no end. Go like that. That's Buddhist cosmology. Then the neurobiology. There are some sort of explanation about the body element and including yoga practice. Some change about sort of also the physical element through yoga, through breathing, like that. And then, physics. I already mentioned quantum physics. When I discuss with a physicist, quantum physicist, you say, their explanation, when I heard, oh, we already know, as that Indian physicist say. Then the quantum physicists, so they are now fully convinced now nothing objectively exists. Finally related with observer. Then if we ask, what is observer? Where is observer? No answer. In India, over 3,000 years, investigate where is observer. So then the non-Buddhist school of thought found Atma, something permanent. Then Buddha says Anatma. No, that kind of Atma or independent self, or nothing there. Self just designated on the combination of 5 skandhas, body, speech, mind, and combination, these things, then just a mere designation, like that. So therefore, so the psychology, then psychology. Psychology, I always is telling, if may I say so, the Western psychology, compare ancient Indian psychology, then modern psychology looks like a kindergarten level. Ancient Indian psychology, highly developed. Before Buddha come, these, as I mentioned earlier, practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana, already there. All these with fuller knowledge about the system of our emotion, system of our mind, then tackle through meditation, through analytical meditation, like that. So therefore, the ancient Indian psychology is highly developed. So we are students of these subjects. So therefore, when we discuss with scientists in the psychology field, you see, they really showing eagerness to learn from our knowledge. That's Indian knowledge, like that. So therefore, so these 4, cosmology, neurobiology, then physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. So therefore, now I realize, ancient Indian knowledge about psychology, about mind, and how to tackle our emotion through practice of shamatha, vipassana. Although these come from religious texts, but we should take these academic subject. These days, I'm telling the hygiene of physical in the education field there. Now time come, hygiene of emotion should include in education field. Not for nirvana, not for next life, but day-to-day life. More calm mind, more joyful life. They tackle our emotion is, I consider, hygiene of emotion. Hygiene of physical is it brings healthy physical. Hygiene of emotion brings us peace of mind. Now, today's world, hygiene of physical, very good there. Sometimes some medicine, you see, create more problem. But in any way, generally, you see, I think health, I think all those developed country, I think really medical facility, excellent. And then Christian brothers, sisters, I think really made, I think, immense contribution regarding education and health. Wonderful. But now we are, the world, we are facing a lot of problem because of emotion, too much problem at the emotional level. So we need hygiene of emotion. It's very necessary. Strictly secular way, not based on religious thing. As a sort of subject of education, right? Education, health education, like that. So therefore, the reason, very important. Then 9th chapter, you find some difficulties that, if may I say so, your knowledge is still limited. So you need, in order to study 9th chapter, you must study Nagarjuna's Matimika Mulakarika. Very important. Then Nagarjuna,
Chandrakirti.
Chandrakirti.
No.
No. Chandrakirti's Madhyamika Avatara. We, in these big monastic institution, I think at least 2-3 years study. Not just read once, no. Study. The root text memorize. Then explain by teacher, word by word. Then utilize extensively logic, the text, Dignak's text, and then Dharmakirti's text. Dharmakirti's what? No. So, I also used to study this, but my knowledge quite limited, because when I studied these things, I was a very lazy student. So since I was quite lazy, so my teacher, you see, keep whip to threaten me. So at that time, out of fear, I study, not voluntarily, without enthusiasm, like that. But now I realize, these subjects which I study are really very useful, very relevant. So therefore, now my another commitment is try to revival these ancient Indian knowledge in this modern India. Existing education system is very much oriented about material value. Existing education system here, introduced by Britisher. So therefore, it is quite a pity in our education field should include ancient Indian knowledge about emotion, about mind, and the method how to tackle as an academic subject. Okay. So my now is in number 3 responsibility or commitment is try, now remaining my life, I think maybe next few years, I'm fully committed, try to revival in this country. Those Indian, do you agree? Yes. No? Okay. Then, is it not sufficient just do that? You do something. I already sort of discussed with, even you see here, the college, Dharamsala college. I met the principal. The principal. I discussed something. and also in Delhi, some universities, professors, some discussion. And then recently in Sarnath, about 150 vice chancellors meeting there. There also I mentioned. So people really showing genuine interest how to revival of this knowledge in modern India. Now we are trying to set up some kasoda, some more class to training teacher like that. So you, according to your question, you see, it seems to see you are really paying more serious
interest, taking interest.
Serious interest. So I appreciate now study more books and analyze is very important. As I mentioned earlier, I myself, about Shunyata, according to Madhyamika philosophy, and Sotantik,
within the Madhyamaka philosophical school, there are two subdivisions, Savatantrika Madhyamakas and Prasangika Madhyamakas.
Prasangika Madhyamika, about Nagarjuna's, because of the real sort of philosophy. Prasangika Marve, Prasangika, Bhuttapalita, and then Jantakirti. Their explanation is the most profound explanation. So for that, I think you should read Nagarjuna's Madhyamika Mulakarika, first the 26th chapter, then 18th chapter, then 24th chapter. Then you get the more holistic sort of understanding about Shunyata. And then modern quantum physics sort of concept also useful. That quite similar, the Chitta Mantras, mind-only school of thought, very similar. So study.
Next
Your
question,
Holiness, please give
Next
blessings.
question?
Please give blessings so that we may banish aversion and laziness from our mind stream and realize Dharma in our mind stream.
Karsa. Next question, yes.
Hello, my name is Joe. I'm from the United States, and I do not like to pay my taxes. I was wondering if I can be a independent, free, spiritual person and still pay my taxes. Is that okay?
Karsa.
Sorry, could you repeat?
Repeat the question. My name's Joe. I'm from the United States, and I do not like to pay my taxes. I was wondering if it is okay to be a free and independent person who's still subservient to my government and still must pay the taxes.
Karsa. What? That I don't know. I think you see, there may be the many other American who also facing that problem. So you should discuss how to overcome that problem.
Okay, thank you.
And America, democratic country, rule of law. So,
Your Holiness, my name is Yogesh. I have come from Jaipur, Rajasthan. It is a dream come true. Having met you and able to secure an audience. My question is very simple, sir. As a common Indian, what should I do that Tibet should achieve whatever they are struggling for.
Karsa.
Thank you.
Oh. Oh. Since 2001, I retired political responsibility. Then next, about 10 years, semi-retirement. Then 2011, I totally retired. Since then, my main concern is preservation of Tibetan culture. That means Tibetan knowledge. Now, frankly speaking, all our knowledge come from Nalanda tradition, 8th century. Shanta Rakshita, great philosopher, great logician. He invited by Tibetan emperor, 8th century. He introduced Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition. So I always describing the ancient Indians, our guru, our teacher, we are chela, student. At the same time, I usually used to telling, we are quite a reliable chela. These ancient Indian knowledge over 1,000 years, in its own place, now Nalanda ruined, nothing. But all these knowledge we kept over 1,000 years. So we are quite reliable chela. So now as a result, the chela's knowledge is much better than ancient our guru. So it is our responsibility to serve this country for revival of this knowledge. So among Tibetan, since we become refugee, our major monastery institution in Tibet, much damage. I think everybody knows, particularly during Cultural Revolution. Now, even these days, some restrictions. So, we re-establish in India those historical famous learning center, monastery, re-established. Now we carry study continuously. About 10,000 monk students and a few thousand nuns there. So these are the potential for revival of ancient Indian knowledge in this country. Now problem is the language problem. But since last few years, we also urge them important to learn English and then Hindi and some our monastery institution in Karnataka state, so Malayalam, like that. So I realized, this country, India, you have the ability to combine modern knowledge, modern technology, modern economy, modern technology including science, and then plus ancient Indian knowledge about mind, about emotion. These two combine the modern sort of education. These bring us physical comfort, material development. At the meantime, use ancient Indian knowledge how to tackle our emotion. That brings inner peace. So India have the ability to take care body, take care mind. So rest of the world, we can say, I think the world, outside world, some kind of, the emotional, or the crisis there. Perhaps including some Indian politicians, also some emotions. Like that. So therefore, this ancient Indian knowledge, I think, strictly secular way, not religious thing, I think can make certain contribution to the whole world, I feel. And then firstly, those Buddhist country, China, historically Buddhist country. Then Thailand, Burma, Sri Lanka, and then Korea, Vietnamese, and then Japanese. Historically, I mean, still, like Vietnam, I think very, very staunch Buddhist country, like that. So Japanese, although you see their culture, you see Buddhist culture, but they are not paying much attention for study. My friend, one Japanese sort of the leader of the Buddhist society there, wonderful, wonderful. So we become very close friends. So one day he mentioned to me, we Japanese Buddhists, we always reciting Heart Sutra, but without knowing the meaning. Then he told me, my explanation is something very useful. So among Tibetans also, you see, recite some sutras or some tantra teaching without knowing, because not much pay attention for study. Since now last over 40 years, I urge them, now we should be 21st Buddhist.
21st century.
That means Buddhist with full knowledge about Buddha Dharma, particularly Buddhist philosophy. It is not sufficient, Buddham Shanam Gajami, Dharmam Shanam Gajami, Sangham Shanam Gajami, without knowing what is Dharma. Not much meaning, much study, like that. So, one my Kasata commitment is revival about ancient Indian knowledge. This one. So, that's our commitment. Now, Chela, as a Chela, no matter how much effort, Guru themselves, without much pay attention, then difficult. So now Guru should pay more attention these things. Then it is our sort of moral responsibility to serve as much as we can, without pay. Now in the tradition, modern case, teacher gets some money. Without that, this is not much carry. So the teaching also kasa, one method for livelihood. So ancient time, not that. So now we say without any sort of economic interest, simply you see share our knowledge to our ancient Indian Guru. Thank you. Next question, next question.
Yes.
Thank you.
His Holiness, I'm coming from Mexico. And
oh, Mexico.
Yes, long way. My sharing with you and my question is, basically, since Mexico is suffering lately by lots of violence and anger, attachment, ignorance, ego, I would like to bring with me a message for them on my way back to see if you can share with me a message that I can share so people can become more kind with the kids, which are the future for the humanity. That's my question. If you can share a blessing for Mexico, since I'm already here.
I think everywhere. I think those area, the medical facility or material facility lacking, like many African states. Oh. And on top of that, because Ebola somewhere. Ebola, that illness now, also now reviving. Very sad. But then, the people, I think people themselves, you see, should make more effort with vision, with plan. And then, I think, particular problem, I believe is one particular problem, as I mentioned already, particular problem. Just looking that, not very sure can solve or not. But these problems, how it develop, more holistic way of thinking, then tackle the root cause, these things. Then gradually you can overcome these problems. I have been in Mexico few occasions. The American president, you see, he very much serious thinking about war. I don't like that. Mexico, next, your neighbor. So, you see, the neighborhoods, the spirit of neighborhood is very important. Then I think when Berlin Wall start, everybody is just like that. When Berlin Wall dismantled, feel very happy. So then the U.S.-Mexico was a border, some sort of wall. I don't like that kind of thinking. Of course, the president also have some reasons. I don't know. So certainly, I pray, and then main responsibility is yourself. People there think without much emotion, realistically thinking with vision. Then all these problems can overcome. Okay. Thank you. Next question.
His Holiness.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next question.
His Holiness, I was born in Brazil, and wisdom indeed has its mysterious ways. However, it reveals itself for those who dare to live on its company. Could you please share some words of wisdom about enlightenment, Kundalini, and astral projection?
Kundalini. So, wisdom, Kundalini, astral.
Oh. Now regarding wisdom, like our mind, the grosser level of mind, which goes together sensorial level consciousness. Then deeper level, during sleep, dream time, dreaming, the sensorial consciousness no longer function, but mind still there, so more subtler. Then deep sleep without dream, even deeper sort of mental state. So through training, you can develop so-called wisdom, grosser level, subtle level, particularly during dream. Analyze things. This is the effect for our mind. Dream level, some thinking, effect more stronger. Then very subtle level, in the most subtle level, consciousness is at the time of dying. Brain stop. Then in the most subtle mind still there. So now, obviously, last few decades, there are cases, some people who clinically dead, but body still remain very fresh. So now some scientists also now showing some interest. So some special sort of program to examine such case. But problem is, who going to remain dead? Nobody knows. That's the problem. So now the wisdom, the understanding on hearing level, then understanding some understanding through reading book or hear some explanation. That is very first level, not very subtle. Then think. Then you develop conviction. That is second level of understanding or knowledge. Then that certain thing which you develop fully, firm conviction. Now familiarize that continuously, then that concept really become part of your mind. That's wisdom. Then the wisdom, the subtle mind transform that kind of wisdom. Then the Tantrayana, the practice of Kundalini, the yoga practice, three because of the main channels at the chakra. Here, I think some tantric texts say the 32, some say 16. Similarly, here usually this 32, now 16, then 8, and then 84, then here 32. So chakra. So some sort of meditation on the center of this chakra, and then including controlled breathing. So you practice these things, then the breathing come, remain, go, and then they remain without sort of
without bringing out.
Bring out. Then eventually remain longer. Then sometimes, say, I think 30 minutes can remain that. So then the movement of Kundalini, and also you see practice of Chandalini here. Now these are tantric practice. So tantric practice itself, without bodhicitta and without the understanding of shunyata, then these, of course, you can perform some magic miracles. I'm very eager, you see, meeting some sadhus who spend whole year in Himalayan mountains, whole naked. So there must be some inner experience, at least experience of Chandalini. So I try few occasions, but so far, one occasion, Mahakumbha Mela, I decided to go there and meet some of these sadhus. Then finally, the aeroplane that day, weather condition not permit the flying. So still, I feel, I have a keen desire, meeting, exchange. That these sadhus suddenly say, Atma, the Atma, the Anatma is private business, no problem. Our common practice, these things, is real. worthwhile to discuss like that. So these are something mysterious practice. But I think my suggestion will be you should pay more attention about Shunyata and Bodhicitta. That's better. Okay, next question.
Your Holiness, thank you so much for being so open-minded, modern, and...
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your sense of humor. It's really a lot of pleasure to hear. Your Holiness, I heard that from Russian Tsar you had an amazing pocket watch that you treasured a lot. When I was coming here from Moscow, I thought maybe that watch has already stopped because it's so much old. So I got you a new pocket watch, and my question is, would you accept it? Of course, after your people check it for bugs and germs.
Oh, yes. At Summer Palace in Lhasa, some sort of pocket watch. The old Russian, the Tsars, some sort of
symbol.
Symbol, like that. As if you watch. Then this watch, of course, left Lhasa. Then one of former American President Roosevelt. Roosevelt is during, I think, 1946, still war with Japan still going on. So then one American representative come to Lhasa, and with one letter from President Roosevelt, and with one silver
mechanical
ship, silver, all type of ship made silver. Then one watch, pocket watch. So then I was, as a young child, so I have no interest about that letter. I never saw, I never opened. And then because a silver ship, I put on one small lake, and immediately, you see,
sank.
Oh, sank, like that. So that watch, I really loved that watch. So it's quite, I think, fortunate. I think in 1956, when I came to India, Buddha Jayanti celebration. Before that, my watch, some damage. So I brought with me that watch, and I give that to the Sikkim prince, or Sikkim
is Maharaja.
So yeah, Maharaja. Then, strangely, 1959, when I escaped, and then when reached Siliguri, the Sikkim Raja came with that pocket watch. He already sort of repaired. So then that watch seems to say, waiting me in free country in India. So that watch still keep with me. So that's a story. Then in any way, I appreciate any gift. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, next question.
Last question, please.
Hello. I am Melissa from Costa Rica. Right now, I am doing the Dishita Introduction to Buddhism to learn more, but still, I wanted to approach to you for this. In my country, I've done everything I'm supposed to, you know, and still it feels this emptiness inside. I've been traveling to find myself, and I've met many people with the same feeling. So what would you recommend to someone who is in this search, this inner search, and considering that we are trained like to be really rational, what's the best way to connect with the heart in order to achieve that?
I think, as I already mentioned, the modern society, I think because of our education, very much oriented about material value. So people come from that kind of education, then think only material value. Then gradually, the people who come through that kind of education then create materialistic culture, materialistic life. So, when people who live materialistic life, materialistic culture, then something like sports, including sports, when you have something, music, you feel happy, and then taste, smell, then touch, including sex, and you feel happy. Without these things, there's something empty. Because no knowledge how to train our emotion. If you have some knowledge, training of emotion, then without sensorial experiences, you can achieve peaceful mind. You see? So that without any sort of facilities about sensorial sort of experiences, you 24 hours remain peaceful, happy, joyful. So now you, I think, if you really feel that way, then pay some attention about how to tackle our emotion. And for that, you should know the whole system of mind. So, ancient Indian psychology, you should pay some attention for study. Then implement. Then you get some kind of feeling of fullness, the fullness of inner world. Otherwise, something empty. Okay. One occasion in America, some chancellor of big university, I think more than, 20, 30,000 students, big university. You see, I spent, I think at least 1 hour in car. And he mentioned, as a chancellor, his salary also very good. And big name, certainly as a chancellor. But he, as a human being, very unhappy. He expressed to me, too much worry. Then I talk, and I hold his hand, and then talk. I also, you see, my whole life, difficult life, 16, my age 16, I lost my freedom. And then age 24, I lost my own country. There's a lot of problems. But I can maintain peace of mind. I talk. Then within about 1 hour talk, his face changed. Then later, I was told some of his staff member, you see, telling to some my people, before their chancellor meeting with me, he prefer to remain lonely in the office, chancellor's office. He very rare to meet people. After our meeting, and he become much active. So then he always to say, give some jobs, those staff member. So they prefer previous life. Previous, this is not much work. The chancellor himself is remain like that. So like that, you see, because of the emotional level, mental level, really makes differences. You see, material facility there, and materialistic life there, materialistic culture, but not much thinking about our inner world, how to tackle our emotion. So people remain very unhappy in spite of these facilities. So therefore, whether believer or non-believer, I think we should pay some attention about ancient Indian psychology, how to tackle our emotion, how to bring peace of mind, like that. Thank you.
Samshaya.
That's Harvey.
No.
Yes. Okay.
We'll stop here.
Now I really enjoy our meeting. Please, now think yourself more and make because of connection, your daily life. These sort of these thinking which I share with you, and then you see, because of the combine your own daily sort of experiences. Then you will get some benefit. If you feel some benefit, then think more seriously. If you find not much benefit, then forget it, no problem. Thank you.